attendance, we have Linda Ackerson, Maureen Cole, Don Wright, Eileen Sheridan, Laura Ingham, myself, Dan Millard, D.A. Hildenbrand, and Claire Kellogg. And the first order of business is approval from the April meeting minutes.
Move to approve as they stand.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved. And going on to public comments.
Charlie, would you like to say anything?
Can I say hi? No. All right.
Smiles, lots of smiles.
And then on to the library director's report from Mo. Yay, and I'm supposed to say exciting.
Yay.
Yeah.
Right, this is our first meeting since.
Yay, the bond passed.
I consider bringing champagne or sparkling cider, but I didn't get my act together. That's great excitement.
So yeah, the bond passed, and it was very it was almost anticlimactic because I didn't trust it. I didn't trust that first reading, and so we were at the Midway. And Doug came in and he said, yeah, because when Alice Norris ran for mayor, we left her house at 11 o'clock at night and she was behind. And I was like, oh my God, things could really change, But then the 10 o'clock one improved, or, it was very small variation. So then we were like, oh, we're good. But so we hung out for those 2 hours because they don't give you any updates other than it's at 8, it's at 10, it's the next day, it's the day after that, whatever. So we finally landed on 67.5% in favor of. Pretty resounding, yes.
Hugely resounding.
Yeah, hugely resounding, yes. But we did not have very long to savor because we were up and running on the CMGC like the very next day. The RFP was published Wednesday and Friday of that week. And then the notice of the public hearing was published the very next day, the 21st, Wednesday. So those were the two pieces that went concurrently for us to move forward on the CMGC process. And that wasn't exactly the part I was going to talk about, but that's fine. But so it was kind of like, okay, so now I know what my work is, and I start it right away. I don't start it in a month, I start it right away. So no time to linger. And then I was like, yeah, and this is what you've been waiting for. So it was great, though. We had that all ready to go, and it's going fine so far. So anyway, so that's the big May news, and that's big.
It's huge.
That's big. It's huge. It is huge. It's not
biggest
just huge.
news in 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just huge for the library. It's huge for Oregon City. It's huge for the library community around the state.
We need a sign in front of the library.
We have a sign in the library.
No, a different kind of sign. Damaging ignorance for over 100 years.
Oh. Take a stand.
I love it.
Has to do with that Facebook page I posted.
Oh, that's so funny.
Couple weeks back.
That's so funny.
I keep thinking of that. Damaging ignorance for over 100 years.
Catches your eye.
It does. Anyway, we did put a sign up in the library yesterday or the day before or something. I'll pass it around. Ingrid helped me with this because I didn't really think about it. I was so focused on that day, and then somebody came in, an insulted patron came in and said there should be a thank you sign, and I was like, you're right, there should be. No need to get offended about the lack of one, though. And so Ingrid helped us do it. It's on the mantelpiece. I don't know if you can tell.
On this one. Here. It's okay. You can read it.
Yeah.
So it's big. It's 3 by 5. So we can carry that around with us if we go out into the community.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
We should have bumper stickers.
We
Just hold it up, Dan. I
stickers.
can see it from there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Sure.
Very cool.
If I can read it on there.
would be-
It's
Yeah,
big
we
enough,
know
yeah.
I love my library enough to vote for it.
Yeah, that would be cute bumper stickers. Yeah.
Yeah, the heart on I Love My Library is faded. Be nice to have a new one.
Yeah. I do like that picture. That picture of the building part is just a
Clip art?
clip art.
I like it.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Carnegie.
It looks just like the Carnegie, doesn't it? Yeah. So anyway, back to statistics. Checkouts are actually down of physical materials. Are actually down to below 90% of what we were doing this time last year. I have no idea what's making a difference that would be that big.
I'm sorry, I'm just starting my summer intake.
Pick it up, would you?
Yes.
Pick
But
it
the
up.
door count's good.
The door count's fine. You know, other counts are fine. Other counts are nothing to really worry about. It's just, yeah, the door count's fine. People are just not checking out as much.
Well, it has nothing to do with the collection.
Well, you know, we do have popular materials, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's my question, is that if there hasn't been a rotation of the core collection, is that correct?
Well, Linda could address
What do
this.
you mean a rotate?
Well, in the sense that there's the popular materials,
Oh, I see
but
what you're
that
saying.
that
Yeah.
people have sort of exhausted what's on offer on a permanent way to some degree.
Yeah, we're adding new materials, but we're not like bringing stuff from
That's-
storage up and
Right.
switching out. We're not doing that.
I don't
That's
know.
what she means, like
Yeah.
maybe the quilting books that you just had a few quilting books. Well, they've seen those few.
Yeah, but
Except for the
part
new
of what
ones.
we do is holds.
Yeah,
And so if they wanted it,
they could get it.
they could get it.
Yeah.
And, you know, those numbers aren't really going down.
It's the browser, the
Yeah.
person who
it's-
browses
Yeah,
them.
it is. You must be right.
I've also heard that Lake Oswego is just dead.
Yeah, I don't think
So
it's
I
just
don't know
us.
what, I think
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
delivery, how people are getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be. And so that may mean that, you know, a smaller overall collection that's more carefully curated is a good thing. And
Mhm.
God knows that's what we're going to end up with,
Mhm.
you know, in the long run. Is just, you know, we're not building a Taj Mahal or, you know, adding 500,000 square feet. So it'll be bigger than what we have, of course, but it won't be ginormous. So
Right.
anyway, it's just interesting to watch.
Don?
Dawn?
Library to go stuff. This has always been my interest. Are they on here someplace?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right below holds, middle of the first page.
Oh, it's here.
Oh, on that street. Well, anyhow, I don't have that in front of me. But are they up? Are more people taking electronic books out?
42 more checkouts of Library to Go than this
42.
time last year.
Okay. I don't know how that.
It's not a lot. I
It's
mean,
not a
that's
lot.
not a big number. We've been, as a group, in Clackamas County, you'll know that we've been trying to do a better job of making a better collection available to the Link patrons.
Mhm.
So we've all put some money into that, and we have somebody from West Lynn who kind of keeps a really close eye on the holds on Library to Go from Clackamas County and tries to replenish that and buy more. So I don't know.
Well, the only reason I ask is I saw a book I wanted the other day. You know,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it says see if it's available on the. So I had logged into this account, and I clicked that one. Now I had to log into a second account.
Pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if I wasn't logged into Amazon for my Kindle, then it would be a third account I had to log on. I think that's a lot of barriers to checking out a book.
It's a huge amount of barriers, and we have absolutely not very many options. You know, because we would have to create that whole system ourselves in order to make it better.
That's why I was wondering if the new infotech person is going to working on making things a little smooth.
What infotech person are you talking about?
Wasn't there somebody new that's hired to take care of our
Network?
Network, yeah.
Well, the problem with ebooks is there's just not that many options out there for libraries. There's lots of options for consumers, and there's not that many options for libraries.
Okay. Have you looked at BookBub?
I've not looked at a lot of things because
BookBub is amazing. It offers you 2-3
And
free books a
is
day.
that for libraries?
Well,
It's for consumers.
It's for consumers.
For consumers.
Yeah,
So,
but it goes through the same little Amazon Kindle thing that you guys go through, and it's pretty much seamless. You know, I'm saying, well, if they can do it,
The
That has
problem-
nothing to do with it.
Oh, well, okay.
No,
The
I
problem
mean,
with that
it's just the
is-
publishers get in the way and the delivery vendors get in the way.
Okay.
They want to make it hard for us. They don't
Libraries-
want.
They have made it hard for us.
Yeah,
is
and
what
they don't
I'd
want
say.
it to be
It's-
easy for libraries.
But
Yeah.
the perception from the consumer, whether he's she
Mm-hmm.
is a reader or a buyer, is that wow, they make it so easy, but why does the
Yeah,
over
it's
here?
true.
But they're both free. Nope. It's pretty hard to understand, and there's no explanation, out there. So I just
We
pointed
could
out.
post an explanation. I don't know that.
Well,
Dan.
in the case of BookBub, I'm on BookBub
Yeah.
too. It's a great thing for consumers. Libraries have it difficult in that there's copyright law that they've got to deal with,
Understand.
and the consumption end of it is, when libraries get a hold of it, they're getting a license for a copy.
Yeah.
And if you want more copies, you have to buy more licenses.
Yeah, and all of that is just kind of what do we be able to get to the
Right.
person who's trying to get a
It
book.
boils down to the money aspect of things.
Well, for number one, it's not $2.99 or free for us.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes it the hardest is this requirement that you log on here, log on here, log on here.
Mm.
The platform to make it shareable is what complicates things.
Yeah.
It's not a one-to-one relationship like you to a vendor
Yeah.
like that. So,
I'm just saying that from.
yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I wanted an ebook from the library.
Yeah, no,
and,
I
and then,
agree.
oh, I got to do that, and then I got to do
And
this.
I don't use ebooks from the library.
And I got to use how many passwords now? So
Well, yeah, I know.
just grousing.
What
Your
about
Facebook
that
login and everything.
Lake Oswego on their website has some new special collection?
Zines?
No, not zines. It's a new collection of ebooks and audiobooks.
Oh.
And that you log in with if you have a card issued from that library.
Mhm.
And I don't know anything about it.
I can't remember the name of it. It's very expensive.
With a C or something in
It's
it.
very expensive.
Oh, okay.
We can look into other things.
Yeah.
But all the research and all that stuff takes a lot of time
Oh.
and it takes a lot of money. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but,
Not right now.
well, I mean, there's just a lot of other things to focus on. So,
It's just nice for us to understand the whole issues.
well, and I wish I understood all the problems. And I mean, I wish there would be like something we could put right on there like, sorry, this is so hard.
Because it's hard for us too.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, we could put something on there if I could think of the right thing to say, but I don't know if that would help
It boils down to the publisher wants their money.
at at the patron end. Would that make any difference? I don't know. Your thoughts as patrons are welcome.
Mhm.
So it really just boils down to the publisher doesn't want the library to distribute that book multiple times, the ebook multiple times, but they'll be glad to sell it multiple times to consumers.
And they'll be glad to sell it multiple times, sometimes at a very, very high price, an elevated price just for libraries.
For
The
libraries.
thing about ebooks is they don't get worn out. So the relationship between libraries and publishers has always been that there's always been a certain tension there. Like, we don't like you giving out our books for free, but we know that at some point those will wear out and you'll have to buy more. You don't have that with an ebook. There's no lifetime for those things. They never wear out. And the other thing is the delivery through a shared platform requires a lot of, background infrastructure that libraries can't typically provide themselves.
And they're dealing with multi-platforms of what the user is using.
Right.
In terms of devices, there's multi-devices that they're.
Yeah.
But from a
negotiating.
consumer point of view, I've got my
Yep.
whatever in my hand, and I'm
I
going to
want it
upload to
there.
that, so I just go to the sites that sell it that way to me.
And believe me, I do the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
I want to read Mr. Mercedes, I go right to Amazon and I buy it for not that much money, only a third of what it would cost in a hardback.
Mhm.
They're making it pretty darn easy for people.
Is that your book then?
With my understanding of ebooks is you're only ever really leasing,
Yeah.
renting a book. It could all go away whenever they decide,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
as
too.
opposed to a hardback physical copy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
But once you've read it, Eileen.
Not that this, I don't want to turn this into a whole classroom kind of thing, but you know about that It's a book espresso.
Nope.
Have you heard of that? That Pal's Books now has one. It's that large machine. It's a $125,000 machine, and you can print any book
On demand?
on demand. So
Wow.
any book that you want, you can print it. And so
Any
for
book? Wow.
libraries or for someone who wants to come in and own a book, they just print it right there.
And what kind of charge is there for that?
Well, I think, I didn't look into it too much. The main article I was reading was that Powell's is the only one on the west, or in the Portland area, I think even in Oregon. But many, many libraries are putting these in now.
How do they do that
In
with
their
copyright?
libraries.
I'm
to
not
print-
familiar with it at all.
To print books. So
I've heard of those before.
So
I'll get some
how does
information and-
How does it come? Is it binded or is it just this?
It comes out and comes out as a softback, and it's right there. They have a whole kiosk at Powell's, and you can stand there and watch the whole thing.
Stapled and
going.
glued and
Yeah, it's glued.
page numbers and all.
Yeah, everything.
And where are they
Everything.
pulling the books from?
I don't know. It's all being downloaded. And
Magic.
it's-
Data banks at the Library of
It's
Congress.
crazy. It's like a 3D printer, but. for
Okay,
books.
yeah,
And
hook
it's-
that with a 3D printer and you got something now.
I'll get some information.
You gotta
but I think
book it
it's called
classic.
Book Espresso.
Eileen, what's the name of it again?
I think it's called Book Espresso.
So
And I thought it was a coffee card or something.
do we want to think about maybe putting these, like, for future agenda items if we want to put on in
Yeah.
terms of
Technology,
ebook
I think,
sort of-
generally is.
And I'll bring
Technology and collections is like, a very big and interesting topic.
Yeah.
I'll send an email link. I'll find information to everybody. It's just interesting, the technology that's out there.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, it's
No, that's
interesting.
awesome.
Thank you.
I haven't heard of it. It's cool.
You know, especially if you're looking for a hard to find book.
I don't think every single book, because every single book wouldn't have a digital.
Well, Google wants to make it
whatever,
that way.
too.
It doesn't, yeah.
Google's trying to
Doesn't,
do
but
that.
they're a lot closer to it now than they were
I guess.
5 years ago.
I'm in.
I wish his pals could
love
get a
it.
website that worked.
was
As soon as they clean up the
Oregonian to
typos
get a
in
website.
their description, I'll be happy. No, it's. Have you ever gone to the Powell's website?
Yeah,
Not
not
to
for a long
digress.
time.
Horrible.
I
The
haven't been there
typos
for a
are
long time.
incredible. Sorry, that's my little
I agree
tirade.
with
So what do we have for that follow-up agenda item? What do you kind of call that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we want to or
I
not.
think we need to continue discussing technology in the library, because that's really pertinent right
Yeah.
now to what we're
Yeah,
worried about.
yeah. I mean, a big machine like that, it's really, really expensive. And how much
yeah.
space does it take up? I mean, if you're talking about something that we need to like budget in as space for, I mean, this is a huge decision to make something like buy something
When I
like
was
that.
reading about it, there was something about a novelty
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But when I started looking at it more and looking at who had purchased it, there seemed to be many, many, many academic institutions that were buying them. And whether it was
That
to
makes sense.
replace textbooks or what,
Yeah.
but.
Well, there's so many one-of-a-kind academic publications, though, that you would never find in print.
Right,
You
right.
know.
Right.
And it was only through a lot of searching that I was able to find out roughly how much it cost, which was over
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
$125.
it makes
Yeah.
sense at a college level where Professor Nuts and Bolts has got his text on as an online document, or you can go to the bookstore and have them print it for you for a nominal fee.
Right.
That makes sense. But for a library situation, we're not looking to give a book away. We want the book to come back.
Well, but they would pay, it would be a pay thing. Sort of like copy machines are in libraries, and often
Yeah.
you have someone, the library doesn't own the copy machine.
No,
You have a
the-
contract with someone.
Where it
It'd
becomes
be kinda
interesting
like
is,
that.
somebody comes in and says, I'm looking for this particular book and I can't find it in your system, and I really don't want to wait around for the on loan thing to have it come from
Interlibrary loan.
Albany, New York or something. Do you have a means to get that book to me
Mm-hmm.
faster? Well, we've got this device, it'll only cost you $17.50.
Well, I think it's worth pursuing. I mean, it's interesting if you were saying that
Yeah,
if it's
I'll
only
have
academic
information.
Well,
libraries.
in the
one
big
thing,
picture
but-
of like material delivery, I mean, if we're going to be talking about this kind of big thing, I would like to also discuss, other vending type machines that are out there in the world that will deliver books or other items to other parts of the county. You know, I mean,
Bookmobile.
yeah, well, not a bookmobile, like a kiosk-y thing
Yeah.
or something.
Mhm.
They're making all kinds of expensive and fancy vending machines, essentially. out
Like
there.
a red box type of thing?
You know, I saw something on Facebook the other day that they've got a Netflix for books option out there now. It's not Netflix, they call it something else, but it's the same kind of idea where you rent a book for a period of time.
Right.
You know.
Brave New World.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's in, you know,
Down,
there
obviously,
are a lot of
down.
places we could put our dollars, you know, and you know, let's go back to where this started, was that our ebook collection probably needs to be more robust, and it needs to be on a platform that's easier to use in order to like really be used well.
And how are we going to deal with that? Because
Individually, we can't deal with that. We need to deal with it, I think, as a group.
Yeah,
now, what do you mean as a group? As a
it's the
group?
library network, right?
As a library network or as the state?
Well,
you think?
yeah, the state has got a huge decision to make whether they're going to stay in this consortium.
Oh,
of,
Really?
okay.
no.
Overdrive.
The Overdrive Consortium,
Okay.
which is,
Overdrive's the main
Take it.
vendor provider of ebooks to
Right.
public libraries in the
Ebook
Yeah.
and audio.
I need to just
Online
see
audio.
the whole-
Just-
All that library.
Yeah.
So-
so I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about that because I heard the rates were going up like exponentially, really, really huge. And again, it's a collection we, as a state, have bought into, and we don't own it. We don't own any of that stuff. So if we don't continue our subscription with them, it just goes away. Clunky as it is, you know, it's been one of the only games in the business for libraries. So that might be changing a little bit, but then you have to invest in something else, and you lose your entire collection of what you already have.
Hmm.
So it's a really complicated topic, you know, the ebook delivery.
Well, I wonder if we need somebody really studying that
Well,
to give us a...
The new network person has been our liaison to ODLC,
Okay.
and why don't we,
Could they come in
they
in a
could,
future meeting?
he could come into a future meeting and
I'd like that.
Yeah.
talk about that plus other network things. I think might be a really nice
I think that'd be
visit.
great.
Go to the source.
Could we put that on as a
Future.
request for, well, not future, next meeting? I don't think we want to wait.
I'll second that.
You're thinking because of the design of the building, this
Yeah, yeah.
all impacts so much.
It does.
Uh-huh.
Space,
Well, it could and it could not.
program. and
Yeah,
that
but
just- it could
I know,
have-
but
Well-
ebooks in theory doesn't
Hard
affect
drives
space at
are
all.
significantly smaller than
Yeah.
basements.
True.
So, I mean,
Okay.
But I mean, I'm glad
Sorry,
to ask
I'm eager
them.
to get
No, it's
these
good.
things
Yeah.
discussed.
When, future meeting, I was thinking next meeting.
Okay.
I assume future agenda means,
let's talk about it next
does it
time.
always mean it next time? I guess not,
Do
but,
you want me to see if Greg will come to the next meeting?
yeah.
That would be
Alright.
great.
I mean, we are entering summer months, so.
You can give an ODLC update, which is the ebook thing, and
Yeah.
a network overview.
That'd be
Be good.
great.
That would be great.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Do we want to take a look at the rest of the director report?
I'd have to tell you, the first Friday films are really fun. They're really fun. The one about chocolate last week, you know, only like 25 people come, but we have such good discussions.
Mhm.
It's really like they're thoughtful. People are really engaged. It was really. Didn't you enjoy it?
Yes, oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm really having a
And-
blast with those.
They're now at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpret Center, and they have a theater with stage seating. You can see just perfectly well, real comfortable, air conditioned,
Nice.
really nice setting.
Yeah, and they're going to be there all next year. All of them. We're not going to go back and forth from the senior center out there. We're just going to have them all out there. So,
Great.
so any questions about statistics? Okay. I might suggest that we just jump to the building report because that kind of flows more from this. I don't know why I put it in this order. There was no rhyme or reason.
Building
So,
update?
Building
Building
update, number
update, yeah.
5.
We'll go back. So, again, the podcast, yay!
Evidence.
And then DA and I had a great time at our Library Design Institute.
Yes.
It was so interesting because we got to meet. There was a group of about 80 people total.
And I want to remind everyone that this was a group sponsored by the design architects that are designing primarily libraries, and people who are right on the verge of building. And so, our camaraderie was, hey, we're all in this looking at different buildings, really different concepts for their communities, but still the bottom line, we're really sponges sucking up an awful lot of detail in 2 days, very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
It was, but it was good because all of us were asking the kind of pertinent questions. Oh, I didn't think of that, but he did, and I'm glad they asked that question because I really wanted to know the answer. So I was, it stayed really on point, and it was very, very much unlike conferences that you could think of going to that just
Yeah.
waste your time.
Everything we heard applied to our situation.
Great.
Everything. It was awesome, and it was so great having DA, having board representation, and just a different point of view other than staff. So it was a lot of architects and some vendors, and then people like us, And so the first day we toured 3 Salt Lake County libraries, and they were really interesting because none of them were they were all really big, but the library part of it was about 20,000 square feet. So the first one was a combination of a senior center and a recreation facility and a library. And the library part of it was about 20,000 square feet. And then the next one was the administration. It was part of a district. It's the county district or whatever. So it was all the district offices. It was an event center, and it was a library. And the library part of it was about 20,000 square feet. And then the last one was about 20,000 square feet, and it was just a library, but it was in an old mining town, which was really cool because they had to think about fitting into the historic. They weren't historic, but they were fitting into the historic. So we saw lots of really great innovation, and you've seen, if you've gone to the website, you've seen all the pictures. And then we were, of course, it took place at the Salt Lake City Library, which is amazing. I mean, just incredible. And
In addition to that, we met the strongest librarian in the world.
we did.
Really?
We
Yes.
did. We
How's that work?
Yeah, it was good.
He's a great
he
guy.
bench pressed DA.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Oh, it could happen. at these
He's a great
librarians.
guy. He was at the Oregon Library Association conference, and so I had met him there. And Penny Hummel, who the former director of Canby, was with us that first day, and so we stopped in on the 3rd floor or wherever he works, and there he was, and it was lunchtime, and he came to lunch with us, and it was really, really fun. He's such a nice guy. Josh Hannegarn is his name. So really, really nice man. So, but that building is something to see.
So that got us the back side tour.
Yeah, that got us the
How
backside
old
tour.
is it?
It's 12 years old.
Only 12.
It's only 12.
Was that the one with the opera singer?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a beautiful. The photographs were amazing.
Yes, but thank
And
you for the
idea.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
What size? How big is it? Do you know?
Oh
The
gosh,
size was huge.
it was huge. Wasn't it like 80,000 square feet or something? The Salt
I
Lake
think
City
the
one?
library part of it was 80,000 square feet, but I think that didn't count
The stores and
all
the
yeah.
yeah,
Linda's not here tonight. The Friends of the Library
yeah.
run a store, but they also they have such a high volume that they contribute. Oh, now I forgot the numbers. I think it was around 250,000 a year
A lot.
in contributions back to the library after they've paid a full-time director,
Executive
for
director, at the store.
and 2 part-time. So the volume of their store business is enormous.
But they, we were just kind of talking about this out front. They sell things that are, they sell bags, they sell cups, they sell all this like stuff that's not really book, but it's book related, really cute things. And,
CDs, all kinds of stuff. in there,
you
yeah.
could go in there and do, bunches of gift shopping. And I'm sure people do. But the design that makes that so spectacular there is this like kind of, the arm thing that comes around, and the building is here and it comes around like that, and you can see through it because it has like huge big windows, so you see the mountains beyond it. So it's like embraces and expands at the same time. It's really, really cool because this arm is kind of like a hug, And then down on the main street, it's like a street. So it's like you're strolling down the street, and here's your library right here, and then there's shops right here. And then up above on this thing, there's like rows of tables. Rows and rows of like
Study carrels and
yeah, like 3 levels or whatever.
Yeah,
It goes
3
all the way
levels.
up. And if you're over here studying or using, you feel like you have a lot of privacy. But if you're a librarian, you come out on one of the sky bridges, you've got the view of everybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The sight line is amazing. And
Who designed the building?
Hmm?
Who designed the building? Do you know?
Oh, some fancy name guy.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
European or
Or it was
Asian or
Italian
something.
yeah.
Yeah. And DA said that the construction wasn't even like that fancy of construction.
No.
It's like basically a concrete block and a concrete wall.
What was surprising is how economical that building was, obviously, to build. So that, and typically designers don't think in those terms. That guy is
Oh,
really
he's
smart.
very, very amazing architect, apparently. Yeah. And then on the other side of the library rectangle, it kind of comes out down below on the basement to form kind of another curvy wall. And then the children's is down on the basement, but all of this, everything above it is glass. So there's a glass envelope all the way above it. So the children's has like these canopies above it, but it's really open all the way to like the 5th floor or whatever. And that's their heat envelope. So that also helps them with heating and cooling and stuff. And it keeps it from just being really boxy because it creates then a curve on this side. So curves are very big in libraries these days. We saw them everywhere. And if you just have like a box, what you do is you put in curvy shelves, for instance. That's one thing you can do. We saw lots of fun design things. Lots of fun design things. If we make poor design decisions, it's not because we haven't seen good ones. Do you know what I mean?
Ha. I like that.
That's not going to happen. We're going to make
Yeah,
we're gonna
it's
make great
hopefully not
design.
going to happen. Anyway, so then to finish up on the CMGC, we will be interviewing 3 candidates tomorrow afternoon. We got proposals in last week. We whittled them down from 5 to 3. They were all 5 excellent candidates. We were very fortunate, just like our architects. The ones we got were very good candidates. And we will be making a decision about who to select tomorrow afternoon, hopefully.
Great.
And, so that selection committee is DA, right? You're on
Yes,
that. I'm like
right.
so confused as to who is on what committee at this point. Me, Denise McGriff, Tony Conkle, Sid,
Charlie.
and Charlie.
Okay.
So we've got really nice representation, library board, community, city. So feel good about that. The building committee has had its first meeting, and we'll be meeting every 2 weeks. And that way our first one was basically an overview of like how they'd run. But a really important topic came up at both our design institute and at our building committee meeting, and that's the discussion about LEED and sustainable practices. So DA and I wanted to talk to you guys about that and see what you thought. When we were at the Design Institute, there was an expert panel on sustainability. And sustainability, LEED is just kind of, it was a really good way to force people through this kind of administrative program of like getting a badge saying you did this thing. What it did a really good job of was raising the standards for products and for building practices. And over the time that it's been available, it's basically done that so that people basically build using those practices these days, whether regardless if they do LEED or not. And actually you can take it like way farther and do like a living building, green building challenge, SEED, which is social, economic, environmental design.
Right.
I mean, you can really challenge yourself.
What we've got is a lot of institutes out there now who are flaunting their own set of criteria.
Yeah.
And LEED now is the well-known one because they've been around a long time. But even the Green Building Council, which organizes LEED, has now moved on towards SEED. So they're embracing SEED, which is a different institute, but it's there. So there's a lot of more forward
He's fine.
thinking.
He's fine. He can't hurt it unless he hurts himself. He's fine. Yeah.
Anyway, there's more people thinking more forwardly about how these buildings are going to work in the future, and a lot less accounting of points towards getting an award at the end of the construction process. So there was a component of discussion that talked a lot about that was just what we needed to do to get started. What we really have to be thinking about is how we commission our buildings and make them work over time.
You just defined commission the
And,
buildings
let
for
me
these guys.
Yeah, commissioning is not like this group. It's where a third party comes in and actually verifies that the systems that were designed really are working the way they're supposed to. And believe me, I hardly have ever found that it's true. They never work right, at least not the first time around. So they take a lot of input, and typically that was left up to the facilities people in the building when the contractor walks away. Yeah, they have a year warranty, but okay, so it works. The fans are running. The air isn't balanced, or I'm cold over here and you're warm over there. And that never seems to get addressed, and those kinds of, and we heard plenty of stories about this building,
Oh my God.
which
yes.
is a LEED Gold building. And
Good stories?
No, there
No, bad
are people
stories.
upstairs with space heaters, and there
Oh,
are
okay.
other people who, have cut holes in their windows and, that kind of thing. So there's a real drive towards making sure that the commissioning does get done, that there's follow-up, and it's not just left in the hands of the poor facilities guys who go, well, I didn't design this, I don't know how it works, and so that's part of the carry forward that really needs to be happening. The other part of it is training people that are using the building to use it the way it was intended to be used, so it functions properly. So you walk in and you turn all the lights on and override. I mean, one of the most common things that happens right now is the proximity sensors. People just hate those blasted things. So
For lighting goes on automatically.
lighting goes off when you're sitting in the room and you haven't moved around, and so eventually the switches get replaced. That's one of the first things that happens in a sustainable building. And that's not a good practice. What you have to do is think about a different way of approaching it. On and on, lots of little details like that. But the point is that you either subscribe to the concept of sustainable building practices, not only just in building and design and building, but in using it, or you are going for an award.
Yeah.
And
And you're going for an award that's expensive,
Really expensive.
very expensive. Our architect estimated that going for LEED Platinum could cost us as much as $300,000.
And it's still not guaranteed, right?
Well, I mean, it's got sustainable features, but that doesn't mean it's efficient.
Well, I mean, if you're going for the award, there's no guarantee. You spend all that money, you're going to get the award, right?
Well,
it's like a checklist.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you
okay.
do this, spend enough money to get this
Yeah,
level.
you pretty much
at
see
this
what you're
level.
checking
You
off.
it's a huge checklist, which is actually a heck of a great roadmap. Because what we find is that now, and we saw it in the contractor proposals, we have LEED buildings and we have LEED equivalents. And the LEED equivalents are actually a little more interesting. I found that to be the case. Well, it was in 3 out of the 5 proposals. So there's this new kind of thought about LEED equivalents.
So what you're talking about is yes, you got the roadmap,
Yeah.
but have more follow through to make sure that the roadmap not only is followed, but it has accurate
Yes.
directions with the correct descriptions of the roads you're supposed to be on.
Well, we're pretty unanimous on the idea of having a commissioning agent make sure that the building does what it's designed to do independently, so that we don't expect everybody to pat themselves on the back and say, yes, it is, and then walk away.
Is that a
So,
one-time thing?
That's yeah, but they tend to stick around for about a year and come back and do some monitoring and a follow-up. So you get about a year's worth of a contract. But instead of them, typically nowadays, they work directly for the owner as an independent agent. And that's one of our best, if we've done all the things we need to do, going down the roadmap, looking at the practices that we want that we'll be identifying in the design process. So I can report to you what it is we are calling sustainable practices. It's a list, and that's part of how the architects are going to develop the design. So we'll be hearing a lot about that. The big question is whether, and the reason the question is being asked now is, if we sign up for an award type process, we have to do it right away at the inception of the
Starts early.
Yeah.
How you think about the project, it starts very early.
Yeah, and to try and catch up, we're almost not allowed now.
Yeah.
So and that would be true with any of the institutes. You have to apply right away, and then you start sending them money, and then we pay people, and we pay for the design
annually
concepts.
for some follow-up too,
Yes,
because you
yes,
do
you do.
reporting on an ongoing basis to LEED.
Yeah.
Can I ask like some Emperor New Clothes type
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, absolutely.
So the concept of this LEED is, anything that's sustainable is expressing community stewardship, environmental stewardship, and energy savings, which are obvious benefits to the library and the community. A specific designation and award takes it to what level? I'm not really understanding an advantage other than...
It used to be, when there weren't very many LEED buildings around, it was really something to kind of show off. We have designed this with sustainability in mind because we really believe it. It's a reflection of our values.
Correct.
And this is how we show it. The LEED part of it was kind of like they're the administration of this program that lists all these sustainable things that you have to achieve in order to get the designation.
So even though your effort is to be completely sustainable and to be aware of all of this, it's an accreditation that just marks you as it. Whether or
That
not,
seems fair, don't you think?
Yeah,
whether
that's
or
right.
not, whether or not, so you could still be that without the accreditation. In fact, even be more than that.
Could be
with-
way more than that.
Without the accreditation.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Why buy Levi's when you can buy Wrangler? I'm sorry.
So, in
Wow.
your printed
That's a
thing,
whole
it
other
says-
conversation, but
It says the building committee felt it was most important to create a functional, efficient, sustainable building, whether it was LEED certified or not. I like that statement. I think, we go for the principle, but not necessarily go for the certification.
And actually, that's what emerged in the building committee discussion. The architect and
project manager.
yeah,
Right.
both came in on that side of the equation. It's not a
It's better to be good than to look good.
yeah, and I think we still have a little bit of persuading to do, because the common concept is, just go for LEEDs and get a LEEDs award, and then everybody knows you've done the right thing. And because we know that this building has flopped in a lot of ways. There's some wonderful things here, but they've flopped in a lot of ways. And we are going to have at least as many challenges or more. We need to be more focused on the doing or the implementing of the practices than in trying to counterpoints and make get an award. Now, the administrator in charge of the Utah South County Library said in one of his libraries He was 2 points away from getting a LEED Gold Award from silver to gold, and the cost was like $280,000 to make his last 2 points. And he said, it's just not going to make it happen.
That's a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. And that number stuck in my
I
head.
mean, that's
It's a lot of espresso machines.
exactly.
Right?
Yes, I think that Oregon City too, I kind of like the idea that, it's a pioneer, it's a little bit of a rebel, and I think there's a sense of independence, and I think other things can be accomplished that are even better by just, it's a small community being focused.
Mhm.
I think it's how you frame the message, and then some of those examples that I've heard about how to get the LEED designation, you'd have to get lumber milled some certain way from way off rather than right next door. That it doesn't really count it.
Yeah, well, how you build your points, I don't even really, it can be a crazy combination of things that happens to work for a specific site, so.
Anyway, what we need to do here with this discussion is we need to give the city commission, who expects us to deliver a LEED building,
Really.
a recommendation. I think.
There's just been a conversation with the mayor at one point in time, and he expressed a very high amount of interest in having the LEED building. I don't think he has any idea of the cost.
Yeah, okay.
Or the fact that, we don't need the designation in order to build a really amazingly sustainable building,
Oh, we'll have to educate him.
So, yeah, what I'd like to get from you guys is if you're all in favor of that and feel like that's a good direction to go in, I'd like to get a motion from you guys
So
saying
moved.
we support.
I do. I'm thinking that I would hope that we'd be very explicit in communicating that we're trying to achieve the equivalent of LEED certification, if not exceed.
Exceed.
And so I would want us to be very, very clear, so if and when we get the questions about it, saying, we chose not to do LEED certification because we're exceeding what the expectation would be.
And saving the money.
Laura, you could amend the motion to say that if you like. You could have whatever language you guys feel comfortable with.
I
So
do
that
want
it's
to
clear.
reinforce that clearly what came out of the conference that we listened to was that there's today, LEEDS was established 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we really have a lot more challenges to meet, and we know how to do it, and we know how to do it a lot better, both in design and execution. So, in a way, we're leaving LEEDS behind. We are looking forward.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how to word that, though, because what we really want to do is bring that forward to the commission. And this is just the first one of many I think we're going to be doing.
Many decisions like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, because it's hard to do without paper and graphs. And as you know, I'd rather write something on the whiteboard up here.
He does really well at that.
Really? Uh-huh.
Talent.
Claire's jotting something down. I'm
Well, I
watching
think
her.
aim for building a library that aims for the highest possible sustainability, without saying LEED or CID or whatever, aiming for the highest possible sustainability and environmental sustainability. What was that
Yeah.
one that, that last one that you mentioned?
Seed is social, economic, environmental.
Yeah, we don't want to go that high,
design.
believe me. That was impossible to achieve.
Okay.
I don't see anything wrong with the building committee's statement here, maybe tweaked a little bit,
What is their
Important to
statement?
create a functional, efficient, sustainable building, whether it was whether it is LEED certified or not. I don't even know if we need to add LEED in there.
I don't think I would. I wouldn't
Yeah.
add that whether, and I'd say the
functional,
maximum
efficient,
or some
sustainable building.
real.
Keep the red flag out of there.
Yeah.
There was just an article in the Oregonian, I would say within the last 3 months, that was exactly about this issue.
Really?
Oh, was there?
Yes, it was might have been the front page even, how, it is a false premise that you're going to get the most environmentally sustainable building by using it. So we could look for that article.
Good.
Okay. I will look for that, yeah.
So the motion that I'll put forward on
Sure.
is that the Oregon City Library Board feels it is of most importance to create a functional, efficient, sustainable building. Period.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second that.
That trouble is, it doesn't address the, then you say, okay, yeah, we're going to do LEED certification,
No.
which they feel,
Well, we can always add that on.
because we wanted to show that we think that it's not so great to do the extra
Well, I don't want to get into.
certification.
I don't want to get into the debate on LEED in a
Does planning
motion.
meet after?
You know.
I think that's the issue,
NRC
though,
meets
that
after
she's
this.
wanting to address.
I don't see the
Well,
problem with
you may
leaving.
you may amend my
I don't think
motion.
planning commission does.
Do you want to amend this motion?
You want to write this down?
We're dealing with this on the fly, and I know we don't have a,
I think there's two pieces. One, if there is concern that there's going to be pressure that we do go for LEED certification, I think there needs to be a conversation with the parties involved to sort of do some education as to the process of why we've arrived at this.
okay.
Do you know? I think that having the conversation and saying this is the attempt, and then we can also make a motion that I personally feel fine with saying whether it was LEED certified or not. I mean, I'm not going to avoid the elephant in the room because that's going to come up. So I don't.
Okay.
Do you know? I would also throw the word in energy efficient in front of efficient for clarity.
All right. To create a functional, energy efficient, sustainable building that may or may not include LEED certification.
No, I don't want to leave it.
I don't want to.
I don't know.
Either yes or, I mean,
Can't you say something like that meets the qualifications of LEED certification
Without committing
Without
financially to the LEED
actually getting
certification
LEED
program.
certification? But
The
that's too
word,
many
the
words.
aims,
Yeah, I like that.
the aims of the
That's
LEED
good.
certification.
that what? Say that again?
That we would meet or exceed the standards of LEED certification without financially committing to the
Certification
cost
process.
of the certification process.
A good long one like that is,
Does that
that
jot it down?
tells the story.
Without committing to the.
Without committing to the
Financial-
financial cost associated with official LEED certification or the LEED certification
It's actually even beyond the
process.
costs from reading this article and talking to my husband, that it's negative. Some of the expectations are not really sensible. But maybe we don't need to get into that.
Hey, let me read this back to you.
Okay.
The library board feels that it is most important to create a functional, energy efficient, and sustainable building that meets or exceeds the standards of, well, I have to say of LEED there, don't I?
Yeah.
Of LEED without committing to the financial costs associated with LEED certification.
With this, with
I
the
think
LEED
that's-
certification process.
It's
Yeah, I think
that
that's
sentence-
perfect.
Certification
That's-
process, okay.
That sentence basically says we want to build a sustainable building. There's no question. We're unanimous on that. We want a sustainable building. What we want to do is focus our monies on making that
Right.
building happen, as opposed to spreading ourselves thin by having some outside force come in and say, "Oh, you need to do this, and you need to do this. Oh, and you need to pay us $200,000 for this advice."
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, do you want
Got it.
to read the
So,
motion?
feeling that, board,
Okay.
what do you move? The library board then moves that,
That's our recommendation, is it?
It is our
how we-
recommendation.
It's a
That's our
recommendation.
recommendation. to the
Okay,
council.
then, okay,
So then the library board recommends that.
yeah.
And this,
Do you have to
this
repeat it,
Dawn's
or-
So
motion.
Don, is this still your motion?
With many
Sure.
friendly
Yeah,
So, Don, would you like to restate it so
Yes.
we can?
The Oregon City Library Board recommends that we build a functional, energy efficient, sustainable building.
Want to read my thing?
Yeah, why don't you show?
That's where it gets a little gnarly.
Yeah,
Official statement.
then go to this, that meets or exceeds.
That meets or exceeds the standards of LEED without committing to the financial costs associated with LEED certification process.
Second.
Why did Weldon that?
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
I'll look for that
Recommendation is
article and
passed.
I will.
That would be
Sure.
awesome,
Email it.
Claire, if
Okay.
you would
That'd be
do
great.
that.
All right.
Okay, other
That's
building
what I have to
report questions, other building things.
Okay. Oh,
You and
yes.
Sid.
Well, people have been asking me when we're going to break ground.
Everybody asked me the day after, is the new building built yet? They're very cute, yeah. So, I don't know when the studio is gonna start, but what we thought, once the contractor got hired, is that we'd have like an open house at the library to introduce people, to the project manager, the architect, and the contractor. And then and then maybe at that, we can like put out a studio calendar or something of when he's gonna be there. And then Sid and I, or Sid and Joan, or I and Joan, who's his associate, are gonna be going to all the neighborhood association meetings. And then there will be public meetings down the road, more public meetings down the road as well. So that's our plan. And then I'll have like a table at the art fair at the Carnegie. I'm trying to get one at First City, and I'll have one at National Night Out. And I'm doing a little flyer that like on one side says thank you, and on the other side says, okay, what are your priorities? And then I'll be able to update that flyer so as we move along through different things that we need to ask different questions on, you know, like what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Then I can like adapt that.
Great.
So that's kind of our
So-
public.
What did Miss Lindy's sixth graders have to say about
Oh my God, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Miss Lindy's sixth graders, once we got them talking, they did not stop talking.
Well, they're sixth graders.
They're sixth graders. They were so darn cute, and they were full of ideas. And their favorite idea was to have a dome with a spiral staircase coming down from the top, and then there would be an aquarium, kind of like at.
That's okay.
The-
My fourth and fifth graders is doing library design for our new library.
Yeah.
The aquarium thing was consistent.
Wow, that's
That and
crazy.
a built-in river that has glass over that you can walk on top of the aquarium.
Oh, we didn't get to that cool idea,
wow.
but it was, so the aquarium you could like walk through, kind of like at the coast, you know,
Like
and
the
see,
Willamette
you know.
Falls.
Yeah, and I'm like, who's gonna clean the inside? Not me, you know. They had a lot of good ideas, like connecting the past to the future, and you know, stuff like that. So we've recorded. I'll send you out the list of their ideas. It was very engaging. We were there over an hour and a half.
Did they draw pictures of what they
They drew. They have miniature whiteboards that they each get to have at their desk, and they drew all kinds of diagrams that are really, really difficult to decipher, but they were just so dang cute.
I'd be interested to see those.
Yeah, I've got those too. I'll try and post them. It might take me a while. I'm supposed to do a staff report for the contract, so first things first. But that was really, really fun. That was so worthwhile.
May I make one more statement? I think you're doing a grand job, Michelle.
Yes.
Thanks.
Bravo.
I have a lot of
All of you.
support.
All of
Thank
you,
you
all of
to
you,
everybody.
yeah, all
I have
of
a
you.
lot of support.
Do you want to go back to 4B?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the introduction of the newly revised
Yeah,
Oregon
and-
OLA standards.
I don't know that we're ready to spend a lot of time on this because I have not.
Okay.
I have not even gone through this whole document with an eye
30
towards
pages of
our
stuff.
library on it, you know?
Do we want to have time for us to look through them and
Yeah.
then maybe talk about it? At the
I think
next
we need to
meeting?
like know that it exists, know that it impacts our new building, and come back at a future meeting, like the next one or the one after that even. There's a lot to absorb in here.
Yeah, I was.
And I know we need to work it into the new building. It completely impacts design, but it's overwhelming. I barely got through governance, you know?
Sorry about this, but is this something that the building committee could go through and say, our recommendation is that these three things we need to focus on?
I can go through this and say, this is where we can make a huge impact building-wise.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff is like, you know, background, like governance, library board. Well, first of all, we're already doing a bunch of it, and secondly, it has nothing to do with the building. So why don't I go through this and then send you like a summary? How about if we do that?
Wow.
That would be great.
Okay.
You'd suck it up for us, huh?
I continue to suck it
Applause
up
for
for
Bo
you.
for doing that. Because I wouldn't want to wait through that 30-page
Thank you.
document.
Because this is a lot of text, and I was in on the creation of it, so in theory, I am familiar with the document.
Yeah, I just don't know if I have the expertise to understand the.
I don't know if I have the expertise
Well,
to
all right.
understand it.
Okay.
And you know, I'm the chair of this committee next year that did these. So the good thing is that we'll stay on top of like our first rotation of trying to keep them updated and as usable as possible, which is good.
But there is an executive summary here, though.
There's an executive summary of how it got formed. These got formed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's-
but
that
not
is-
an executive summary of like how they
Thank you.
apply to the Oregon City Library, which I'll try and do that for you.
And
for
then
next
the
month.
Oregon Public Libraries revision, that's another thing?
No, it's the same.
That's the same?
The Public Library Division of the Oregon Library Association is the group that oversees these.
Okay.
And these are the public library standards, which what's really interesting is that our IGA has the public library standards as its background documentation,
Okay.
the old ones,
The old ones.
the old ones. That's gonna, I don't know how we fix that. Anyway,
We could throw them out.
maybe so. So I think we're down to 6,
To
7, 8,
communications, yep.
and 9.
Communications.
Well, we're having a big foundation meeting on the
23rd.
23rd that some of you have been invited to. Or maybe
All
all
of
of you.
them.
I'm sorry. Like, that would be really rude. Yeah, all of you. So please come.
Thank you.
I think I'm engaged that night.
Sounds likely.
And then future agenda items we've discussed, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Wednesday?
Yes, it's
a Monday.
No, it's a Monday night.
Are we adjourned?
2 weeks from this last Monday, so it's 1 week from the
Oh,
coming
in
Monday.
July, that's fine.
That's right.
And I move to adjourn the meeting at 6:05 PM. Next library board meeting will be July